Hey, Eric Peacock here, Pure Beauty Fitness. Friday flexibility. One muscle group that really seems to be tight on a lot of people just because a lot of us sit for work at our desks and our cars is our hip flexors. We stay in a shortened position. Problem is when your hip flexors get tight, it inhibits your glutes. Your butt can't fire, and your butt is like your shock absorber. That's what kind of gets you into that forward posture. That's one of the contributors to that. Plus, when you have weak glutes, that are one of the reasons you have weak glutes is because it's hip flexors tight and you can't extend your hips, which is one of the ways you fire your glute muscles. So we want to stretch the hip flexor, but like a lot of people don't realize is we stretch it from one dimension. We want to stretch it from 3 dimensions. So this is a 3-dimensional hip flexor stretch. So we're going to get down on a mat, something so it doesn't kill your knees. I like to use a ball here just so I don't have to, for a lot of people, they're too unstable in this lunge position, so I like to have something that won't keep them stable. I'm going to flare this out in the back. I'm going to take this foot in front. I'm going to pull myself forward until I feel a stretch right here. Real light, doesn't have to be real intense. Once I get the stretch going forward here, I'm going to bring my arm up like this. Thumb is pointing behind me. I'm going to take a slight bend towards the forward leg, and that's going to help me stretch a little bit. You're going to feel it increase a little bit in the lateral plane, and then I'm going to rotate just slightly towards this ball. Now, a couple things here. You might feel your lower back cramp. If that's the case, you come back out and reset. Make sure you draw your belly button in a little bit, because sometimes that lower back will kick in, I'll overextend. So I'll just reset. Once again, abs in, arm up, slight bend, slight turn, leading into that ball, and that's a good 3-dimensional hamstring or hip flexor stretch. Hold that about 30 seconds. You want to feel that glute contract. You want to feel this release on the front. It's real important too, so if you have lower back problems too, remember the hip flexors have a lot to do with that too as well, is the hip flexors are actually attached to the lumbar spine, so sometimes if you stretch the hip flexors, that can relieve a lot of your lower back pain as well. So that's your stretch today. We'll see you next week at Friday Flexibility. Merry Christmas, everybody.